Blast off. We're live.
Howdy, guys.
Hello, Matthew.
Hi there. Good. Yourself?
Yeah, really good. We're here for another Fireside chat.
Definitely.
Awesome stuff. I'm looking forward to tonight's topic.
It's going to be a biggie.
It's going to be a biggie. And what I've done for people who are here, just as a side note, is I've actually started a poll in the event of Matthew's page. So there's several topics there that people have requested. And if you'd like to go and vote, I actually might even put a link to the event in here, so you can vote on which topic you'd like to hear. And if there's no topics there that you'd like to hear about, you can actually add your own to the poll. So we can do that. But tonight's Fireside chat is about psychic attacks.
Psychic attack.
Yeah. So I'll do some housekeeping, then I'll get out the way and let you get on with it. Okay. So please, everybody, if you are here live, welcome. If you're here for the replay, welcome too. #replay helps us know that you come in for the replay. If you are, please let your friends and family know about this, especially tonight's topic, I think, because when I learned a little bit about it, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot more, it was not what I thought, and there were definitely solutions that I realized that I could actually take a bit of control and be hang on. Well, hold the farm. As Christina is saying, looking forward to tonight. She can hear us but can't see us. Let me check.
Technical glitch.
And then someone's going, howdy, guys, it's you. So that might be Michelle. Yes, it might be a technical glitch. So before I ask you to share, no, Donna can't see anything either. Doogie, Can you hear anything? Sandy's here. Sandy, can you please do let us know? I'm going to go and have a look on my phone, because what's happened is we have a new Facebook format, and it could be, well, it is glitchy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's okay, so I can see that we're live on my...
Oh, so Emma's saying she can see and hear?
Yeah, I can as well. Donna's saying
yes,
no.
yes. And
Donna's saying no, but Emma's saying no. Doogie's saying yes.
Paula Evans is saying she can see.
Yep.
Sandy's saying she can hear us. Loud and clear.
Sean is saying loud and clear. Okay, so it looks like...
Sorry. That's all right, Michelle.
Yeah. Michelle, that was cool.
Tourist there.
This is it. Wow, nothing like throwing a spatter in the works to start with. And not you, Michelle. It was like, I honestly, we don't know, because Facebook have got a new format, and if you're on your desktop or PC, you may notice that it's completely changed. And if you are a business and you use Facebook for business, it will probably do your head in. So you might want to go and see Matthew to get some good vibes happening.
Good juju's.
Some good juju's. That's exactly what I was going to say. So please remember that your friends and family and loved ones, and again I say they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, they may be the same people, you would want them to see and hear this, or hear it if you can't see it, because tonight's topic, I think, is relevant to every single human on this planet. And definitely,
most definitely,
so I'm looking forward to what I'm going to Mary's saying maybe we need to come over from my time. That's a beautiful segue into, we are live on several different places. We're live streaming on my personal profile, which is the Adair Palmer personal profile, and Matthew Greenwood's Spiritual Journeys. So we may see some comments from both of those places, because they get collated here in the dashboard of Be Live. But if you're on my time, I was going to say we shouldn't be able to see it, but if Mary is already over there and commenting on my time, we can see it. Isn't that interesting? So yes, as long as you, if Matthew's responding to you and we can see your comments, then you're in the right place. If you are on any other page other than Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys, or even if you're on my profile, please come over to Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys, because that's where the source of the party is happening.
That's right.
The other thing I'd like to remind you to do, and when I hop off, I'm going to pop a link in the comments below, is really everybody's invited to join the Meditation with Matthew community. Matthew does his meditations for 2 hours live on a Monday evening, and they are really, really powerful and I would say cathartic in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of learning and everything is like the meditations are just pretty amazing. Hey, we've got some new, Mary, she's swapped sides. She's come over. She's come over from my time to Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys. And is that Neil? Nell. Yeah. And Corinda. Hi, Corinda. How are you? I'm taking over here.
That's right, Adair.
Go on.
Would you mind sharing who won the Spirit Guide reading?
Oh, okay. For sure I can do that. Because let me just get the name and I can pop it up.
Because I forgot to write it down.
There we are. Oh, okay. There we go. I actually messaged it to you. So if you want to have a look in your Facebook messages,
someone must be psychically attacking me.
Well, that's a great segue. What I also want to say before I move off of screen and leave it to Matthew is that we do have the chat bot hooked up on Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page. If you make a comment in the comments thread below, you will get a message that says you are registered, or if you want to register for a spirit guide reading, for a chance to win a spirit guide reading, you can simply type in yes and then follow the bouncy ball. So you would need to just give us your email, your firstborn, and your phone number. No, just your email will do. And we promise we will treat it with the respect that we would treat a firstborn and a second and any fur babies. So you... All right. He's going to keep me off in a minute, but I have the control. So we will, yes. So your email, so we can keep in touch, and we will announce the winner of last week's spirit guide, the winner of the spirit guide reading from last week. We do take all of the people who are registered inside of the chat bot into account, so it's not just the week to week. So if you've signed up a few weeks ago or even a couple of months ago and you haven't had a win, you still may have a chance to have a win of the spirit guide reading. So please do follow the bouncy ball inside of the chat bot when it drops into your messenger, and I will... Donna, you give my firstborn back real quick. I'm not going to make any comments there. I love all my children equally.
I do have, it's Paul D. Katerina. So, Paul, you've won the spirit guide reading from last week.
Congratulations, Paul. Okay, so I will get in touch with you, send you a message and let you know how you can book in with Matthew for your spirit guide readings. Please do remember to make sure everybody sees this broadcast, and also I'll pop the link in for the Monday night meditation with Matthew. If you want to join the community, you're more than welcome, and I'm going to go now.
Thanks, Adair. Hey guys, so big subject tonight. I'm going to split this into two parts. So we're going to do this tonight and also next Thursday night, because it's such a big subject. And psychic attack ranges from many things, but what we're going to deal with tonight is more to do with interhuman psychic attack, and we'll see how we go fitting it all in. Now, what I would love you guys to do is, if I'm talking about certain things and you've got a question about something in particular about psychic attack, I would love you to put your question in. I can't promise I'm going to get to them all, but I'm going to have a break about halfway through tonight. So it goes for roughly an hour, and I'll look at questions halfway, and I'll also look at questions at the end. So, but this is a very big subject, and it's needing a lot of attention. So it's something I don't actually normally talk about. It's something I deal with clients on a one-to-one basis, but it's not a lot. It's not what I talk about a lot on air or in talks. So I think it's probably about time. So what we're going to do, as normal, is do a quick grounding exercise, because there's something to this grounding exercise that I will actually be talking about with in relation to psychic attack. So it has the ability to stop psychic attack the more grounded you are. So let's do it now quickly, because it doesn't take long. It only needs to take about 5 minutes. So here we go. So just to begin, close your eyes and allow your breath to be long and full. So many of you have done this already with me, but some of you haven't, so I'll give you the time. So the breath is all about taking in life force. It's not just about oxygen. As soon as you take a conscious breath, you're literally tapping into life force outside of you. Pure, clean energy. So with the next breath in, knowing that you're tapping into that life force, with the breath out, I would like you to push that life force that you've just breathed in down through your body, down through your base chakra, your legs, your feet, and then down into the earth. And just keep doing that for probably half a dozen breaths. And what this does, it helps to move energy down through the base chakra area, opening up not just that energy center, but the minor chakras in the hips, in the knees, the ankles, and the soles of the feet. And all of these chakras relate to your stability, your groundedness, your connection to the earth, and your strength. Okay, so you should be feeling tingling or warmth going down through your feet now. That is a sign of energy moving down through your body into the earth. So next step is, we have a multitude of chakras below us, but we're going to tap into the deepest one, which is, and this is because our energy system is very vast, expansive, the deepest chakra point we have is right down at the core of the earth, and it is called our earth chakra. So with the next breath in, taking a nice deep one again, knowing that you're taking in life force, with the breath out, I'd like you to drive that energy you've just breathed in right down to the core of the earth, to your earth chakra. So while you're doing that, and keep breathing in that way, so that you're pulling energy in, moving it down through your energy system, right down to the core of the earth. And I'll just tell you a little bit about this chakra. So this chakra relates obviously to our deepest connection to the earth. From our energy system to the earth's energy system, it links us as strong as you can get with the earth. What it also does is it links us in with every other heart-connected spiritual culture on the planet, including the native cultures, Tibetan monks, the Druid system of spirituality, Wiccan in its purest form, you name it. The people who are living what they believe, walking their talk, that earth chakra for them is wide open. And then as we connect with that earth chakra, we actually link in with all of these spiritual cultures on the planet. So our base of connection becomes very expansive and very strong. Okay, so now that you've got that, what I'd like you to do is just to calm your breath. Just hold the energy where you're at. We're going to slip into a higher vibrational energy now. So bringing your awareness back to where you feel or see your body is. I'd like you to dive your awareness into the center of your body, but knowing that we are far more than physical, that we have a very expansive energy system, both within and without. I'd like you to keep diving deeper and deeper into your energy system until you feel or see a light or a high vibrational energy source. When you do, what you're connecting with is the God force within. The technical term for it, it's called your core star energy. But literally that's what it is. It's whatever your belief on God is, or Great Spirit, or the universe, this energy you're tapping into within is highest vibrational energy in its purest form. Okay, so as you connect with that, now begin to expand it out within your physical body to start with. Imagining every cell in your physical body being touched by that light, knowing that what's happening is, by expanding this light out, you are literally raising your frequency. So as you concentrate on the physical, you're actually raising the frequency of every cell in your physical body. Excellent. Now expanding out beyond your physical body into an area approximately 3 to 4 meters out in all directions from your physical. This is what's classified as the 7 major energy bodies, which is, you could say, is the human aspect of the energy system. But knowing we are far more than that, we're actually going to expand it out beyond that limited part of our energy system in a minute. What I'd like you to do, though, is keep filling that 3 to 4 meters space in all directions around you. Fill that with light. Just keep compacting that light in there. It's going to feel like you want to just let it explode. Okay, so with the next breath out, taking a deep one in, with the next breath out, I want you to just let that energy explode out limitlessly. No boundaries. This is how far your energy system expands out. It is limitless. And what you are doing is raising the frequency of your whole energy system. And so gently holding that space, knowing that you do not have to bring that in. You do not have to cover it up or tuck it away somewhere. I've heard so many new age versions of, oh, you've got to just pull that in, put a cloak around it. Sorry to say, but that's waffle. I'm going to be calling a spade tonight. It makes no sense to pull that high vibrational energy in, because you want to be keeping this up all the time. So now bringing your awareness back to your physical body. And when you're ready, just to bring yourself fully back, you can just reground your energy by breathing in a few breaths, and then with the breath out, pushing that energy once again down through your base chakra, down through your legs and feet, and into the earth. Excellent. So hopefully you're all back, and here we go. Now that meditation, or that very quick meditation, is number one, a way to keep you grounded. It's also a way to bring your personal baggage up to the surface. And what's actually bringing it up to the surface is a combination of you strengthening your base chakra and also opening up that core star energy within, which is raising your frequency. So when you understand about energy, that if you're impacting constantly any low vibrational energy within you with high vibrational energy, it's going to rattle that low vibrational energy loose, and it will help to bring your baggage up to the surface so you can deal with it, so you can face it. So if you have fear about looking at your baggage, then, well, you're not going to grow. If we're going to get through this time ahead, we have to face our baggage and face our fears. So, but that's another story. Well, in fact, it will probably integrate with some of the story tonight. So let's take a look at the basics. If you have a look at humanity at the moment, and just, by the things you're aware of that's going on across the planet, the differences between people, the judgment of different people's spirituality, or different people's color, the judgment of different people's belief systems, jealousy, fear, anger, frustration. All of that energy is what keeps humanity on the same path that it's on right now and has been for a long time. So where does psychic attack fit in with that? Well, this is really basic understanding of how energy works. When I'm teaching shamanism, this is one of the first aspects that I talk about. So when you are actually thinking about someone in a negative way, and some people will say, well, what damage is that thinking about someone in a negative way, what damage is that going to do to them? Well, this is where we all need to wake up on that one. So this is the beginnings of psychic attack. When you do think about someone, even if they're walking down the street, and you, for whatever reason, don't agree with the way they look, the way they're acting, and you have a judgment in yourself about them, well, I've got to tell you now that every action, every thought, and every verbal word has energy behind it. So when you're actually thinking about one person in particular, and whoever that may be, and you're thinking negatively about them, the one person in particular that you're thinking about is the direction that energy is going. You already put a bullseye on someone. That's your focus. Now, energy goes where you direct your focus. So as soon as you have a judgment about that person, that energy that you've manifested in your thoughts about that person is going to go directly to them. Now, there's two different ways that this can play out when you do that sort of thing. If that person's really confident about who they are and they don't care what other people think about them, and they've done probably a lot of work around personal growth and judgment in themselves. And so if they don't care and they've got no hang-ups inside to do with judgment from when they were in their youth, then that energy that you've just directed to them is just going to bounce right off them. It's not going to even impact them at all. But if that person you've directed that energy to has insecurities about the way they look, about the way they act, and what happens is you're picking up on their energy as a weakness, and that thought that you're having is being directed to them because you have a way of accessing energy from them. Now, let me try and explain that a little bit clearer. And this is the basics of spirituality that a lot of people do not understand because it never comes into any sort of training or any teaching. So there's an acceptance that for us to survive in this body, we need to have air, we need to have food, we need to have water. They're the basic needs and maybe a roof over your head. But there's more than that. We need life force to survive. Now, this is where things go pear-shaped. Now, in an ideal world, we should be taught to meditate on a regular basis, to nurture ourselves, to nurture other people, to go for walks in the forest, to embrace nature, and to be open in helping people. The problem is not a lot of people have been taught to live that way. All you need to do is have a little think about how you were brought up. So I would dare say 98% of people on the planet have grown up in situations where there's been a lot of judgment around them, where there's been a lot of manipulation. So there's four major energy games, and this is what we're talking about, that people play. One is the victim, or poor me. One is aloof, so not communicating at all with people, holding everything inside. One is interrogator, which is just pounding you with questions and statements, control freaks, basically. And one is intimidators. So that can be intimidation in just a look, because if you know the person, you know what they're thinking with that look that they would give you. And also that can extend out to verbal, physical, emotional, mental, sexual abuse. So that's the real top end of manipulation. But on a subtle level, the victim is probably the ones that we most sensitive people have to deal with. Now, when you're playing these games, you play these games because it's learnt behavior. It's not that you're bad people for playing those games. It's just that we're not educated to do anything different. So when we actually step out of that game playing and we begin to do things like meditation and go for walks in the forest and all of those things that I talked about, then you actually step out of this world of manipulating people. But the problem is any little bit of judgment that you have towards someone is a level of psychic attack. Now, most of this is, I guess you could say, passive psychic attack. So it's coming from an unconscious, mostly unconscious perspective, but not all of it is unconscious. When you actually get, through behaving that way, when you actually continue to do that, generally the reason you continue to do that is because you get a rise out of doing that. And what I mean by rise is you actually get energy from that person. So it's not just about psychic attack. It's actually about pulling energy away from that person because you've just belittled that person with your thoughts. And that then has a very deflating, that's probably the correct word to use in this case, a very deflating feeling to that person. And so literally what you've done is you've just zapped them of energy. So a lot of people, particularly spiritual people out there, are very easy to project and say, oh, they're an energy vampire, they're an energy vampire. But the truth is, many people, it doesn't matter whether they're spiritual or otherwise, many people are energy vampires. And what we have to learn to do is to actually pull in our heads a little bit. And I'm going to be blunt with this, because some of the most severe psychic attack doesn't go on with adults. It actually goes with children, because children are a lot weaker than most adults. But I'm going to come back to that. So how can someone defend themselves against basic psychic attack like that? There's a few things. I guess you could say a Band-Aid version. It's not just a Band-Aid, it's a maintenance version of being able to support your energy, is that grounding exercise that we did just to begin with. So the breathing in life force, the pushing that life force down through your base chakra into the earth, then going deeper down into that earth chakra, and then tapping into high vibrational energy, which is about lifting you up. And then you don't need to manipulate energy from anyone else. So this is where life changes, when you actually start to act in a different way. But the big problem is, if you don't know that this stuff goes on, people just continue to do it, because most people, when they look at this, the common thing is they don't believe they're doing anything wrong by just having a judgment about someone. But there's far more going on energetically than people like to think. So if we're going to clean up our acts, if humanity is actually going to grow and become, let's say, a more pure energy, and if life is going to change for humanity, then we have to start looking at the way we act towards each other. Now, I think most of you know that I've got a bit of a galactic connection. So for the last 18 years or so, I've had a very strong connection with galactic beings. Now, there's no way in Hades that they are going to come and visit us if we can't even handle being clean energetically to each other. Why would they come down here? Because sure as anything, we would be judging them fairly severely. And because they don't all look like us, they can look very unusual, and fear can be involved in that. And so then what happens is judgment comes in. Fear for us, of course, brings fight or flight mechanism, and so then we're liable, because we're trained to do this, is to go on the attack. So they're not going to come down here until we clean up our act. So anyone that's hoping the mothership's going to be coming, well, you better hold off on buying tickets, because it's not going to happen yet until we clean up how we deal with each other. Now, there is a very simple way of sending this energy back. Now, how do you know you've been psychically attacked? This is one of the great questions that when I was looking at all of this, I thought that's probably the common thing that most people don't realize. How do I know I'm getting psychically attacked? So a very, very simple way is, when you're feeling happy about yourself, when you're feeling good about life, remember that feeling. When you get a heaviness coming in, when your whole energy feels heavy, literally what's going on is someone is thinking about you, and it may not be just one person, it may be a few people who are thinking negative thoughts about you. So that heaviness is another person's energy coming into your space, and you're absorbing that. So you, like I said before, if you felt great about yourself all the time and you had no insecurities, well then those other people's thoughts and feelings would just bounce off. You wouldn't even engage with them. But the problem is most people have insecurities, and until you actually face all your fears, which is a lifetime process, I believe, until you do that, you are going to continue to be open to psychic attack. So where does psychic attack hit you, or where does it? Where does other people's energy hook into you? Basically, your doorway is your base chakra, because most people, if they have fears and anxieties, it's their base chakra that is at its weakest. So that is, generally speaking, their way of getting into your energy. And there are other ways too, but on a basic level, it's your base chakra that needs to be worked on. So what else can you do? You can be dealing more with your personal baggage. So emotional energy that you're, say, concerned about facing. It might have to do with really, dark stuff from your childhood. Maybe you've been abused. Maybe, you had a lack of love from your parents. Maybe maybe there was a disconnection from one of your parents, and that really had an effect on how you feel about being a person. If someone doesn't love you when you're growing up, and if that person that's not showing that love is a parent, then that has a huge effect on both men and women. So there can be a disconnection, whether you're male or female. There can be a disconnection to males if your father never loved you, or vice versa if your mother never did. So there's a lot of different possibilities and issues that one can be dealing with or not dealing with very well. But ultimately, it's your insecurities that are driving an aspect of you to be in fear or anxiety, or to have a low energy. So the thing is, how do you strengthen your energy? Well, number one, that grounding exercise that I just ran you through. Number two is working on your emotional baggage. So number three, for a very simple method of getting rid of people's energy or their thoughts out of your space, I've got a great affirmation that I put together many years ago, and this is how it goes. Now, I'm going to say it a couple of times because you may want to write it down. And if you do miss this, you can go back to the recording of it on Facebook, or you can contact me on my phone number, which Adair might put up in a sec. So the affirmation goes like this: I acknowledge all of these negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, and energy that are not mine, and I send them back to their source with love. So let me just tell you through that. I'll say it again in a sec. Let me tell you what's actually happening. So when people are communicating with us on a thought level, I mean, most people don't realize that's happening. And even the person that's doing it sometimes doesn't realize what they're doing. But when they're projecting energy at you, if you're the one they're thinking of, oh, good on you, Adair. So Adair's just put this up on the screen so you can actually, so I can keep talking. So I acknowledge all these negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, and energy that are not mine, and I send them back to their source with love. What you're doing here is actually you're completing a communication. So that communication on the thought level that's coming to you is if you have insecurities about whatever those thoughts are that person is having about you, then what actually is happening is, because you've got insecurities around those sort of things, you're taking that energy on. Now, what happens is you go through life, and it's not just one person who realizes that they can tap into your energy if you have insecurities. There are many manipulators out there, and you can be just walking down a mall in, I don't know, Tea Tree Gully or something, or a big shopping centre. And what can happen is you can just walk past someone that's maybe a bit narcissistic or a bit of a control freak, or can just feel that you have, this is on an unconscious level, can feel that you have those insecurities, and then they project negative thoughts on an unconscious level to you and basically take your energy. So it's why a lot of people, a lot of particularly empaths, when they go into a shopping centre, they can probably last about half an hour, and after roughly half an hour they start getting impacted by other people's energy, and they generally want to go screaming out the door because they can't stand it any longer. And it's because their energy is being impacted quite severely by everyone else's energy. It's really important to remember to be able to hold your energy stable. As an empath or as a sensitive person, you're going to be able to stay a lot clearer. Now, I'm just checking the time. So, wow, 7:42 already. Look, I'm going to have a quick look at questions. As you can see, this goes very quickly. And so where's our first question? Looking for a question. A lot of acknowledgements. Patricia Brown, they can't come while the planet is under quarantine anyway. Don't quite understand that one, Trish. I'm not too sure what you mean by quarantine, and who they are. So maybe if you could send another message, just making that one a bit clearer. Maybe that's. Wow, looking for a question. So Adair says, I think I've said this before, it was the shopping centres that freaked me out when I was at my lowest. Yeah, most definitely. And Doogie saying, oh yes, that's why I can't go to Marion sometimes. Most definitely. It impacts us quite strongly unless we're grounded, unless we're doing conscious work around grounding our energy. I'm just going to ask a question and see if I can get some answers. Am I coming through clearly? That would be a really good thing to hear, to get acknowledged. So if you can let me know that would be great. So Rebecca Rowe, are people aware that they are doing this to others if they are not aware of energy? No, they're not. I think some people maybe are on some level because of what they get out of it. Hang on a sec. So Daniel's saying, can people have physical signs that they've been attacked? Oh, possibly if they've got a weakness in their energy system that relates to, it can. If they've got a weakness in their energy system, and sometimes a lot of the pain we carry isn't actually physical pain, it's energetic pain. So that energetic pain can be antagonized by other people's energy, negative energy in our space. So yeah, that's a good one. Thanks, Daniel. So Trish said, sorry, Matthew, referenced the aliens coming here in COVID. I'm not talking about aliens yet. Sorry, Trish. This is just people we're talking about. I'll be talking about aliens next week. Christine's, what about when you do it? Do you have an affirmation to retract you have a thought about. You mean if you're having a negative thought about someone else, just by consciously pulling that energy back, you can do. Yes, you can. Because sometimes you can have done all the spiritual growth that you can possibly do. And if something hits us energetically, or it hits us that's a big thing in our life, like someone's passed away, or we've lost a job, or for some reason, maybe we've had a car accident. But when something really big happens in your life, that can pull the rug out of underneath you. And what I mean by that, that can really weaken your base chakra energy. Now, when your base chakra energy is weakened, you can go back. It's very easy to go back to those old games that we may have played in the beginning before we actually cleaned up our act. It's really it's one of those things that can easily happen. That's why in shamanism courses I take people through a process where they look at their past, and they look at the energy games that they used to play when they were younger, or before they realized that they were playing energy games, because we can go back to doing that if for some reason our base chakra drops out. And like I said, normally that's because something big has happened in your life. But just bringing it back to the psychic attack thing. Here's Trish again. Are there ways we can remove all hooks where people have been feeding without finding each one? The more we raise our frequency, yes, we can, but sometimes it would be nice to be able to just take a pill to remove everything. But sometimes through karma and just through the veracity of some forms of psychic attack, you have to go back to the beginning, to where it happened in the first place. And this is where there isn't a shortcut, unfortunately. And look, this world revolves around shortcuts, abbreviated versions of things, magic pills. But unfortunately, for a lot of this stuff, there isn't a magic pill, and it's necessary to actually do the hard work. And I'm going to stick by that one, because I haven't come across any easy way of removing people's negative energy when it's hooked into you through a particular reason. So Daniel's saying, are there times where grounding isn't quite enough, where extra help is required by practitioners like yourself? Yes, there is, because depending on what level the manipulation is coming in at, it can be quite severe. And there can be, let's say, certain spiritual groups on the planet, or so-called spiritual groups on the planet, that use manipulation to actually take energy from their members. Now, at this point, I'm not going to name them, but if anyone wants to talk to me separately, then I'm happy to actually talk about that to them. But at this point, no, I'm not going to name them, because there are some levels of those spiritual groups that are on the level. It's when you go higher up, normally there are pyramid systems with most spiritual groups, and it's the ones at the top that are doing the heavy manipulation, where the ones at the lower end of the scale of those spiritual groups don't really realize what's going on. So that's where there can be times, because a lot of these groups, when there is psychic manipulation going on, it's not just one person that's doing it. It can be several people that are projecting that spiritual attack to basically shut people down. I can say this confidently because I've had this done to me on several occasions, not just by ETs, but by a particular group. Like I said, that will come out soon enough, but it's not the right time to be able to do that yet. So Mary's got something. Sorry, while I am listening to the Fireside chat, I now can only smell poo. Is this a sign? I've never smelt this before. Depending on what that relates to, it's not something probably I can give you clearly right here and now. But if we looked in at that one-on-one, there probably would be some relevance to that. And quite often when there's a projection of energy that's coming from someone purposely, they can project not just energy or not just a thought form, but they can project, manifest certain things that will upset you, basically. So Tina Julian, yes, clear. Is there anything we can do to repel negative energy? Well, the things that I've said already. So raising your frequency through that exercise that I gave you in the beginning. You may have missed it, Tina, but have a look at the recording of this event later on, and take yourself through that quick meditation that I do, and tapping into your core star energy or the God force within helps to raise your frequency. So the beauty of raising your frequency is that it will bring your own negative energy up to the surface. So negative energy, what I mean by that is your it can be things like judgment, where that judgment's coming from. Sometimes we're just acting out of learnt behavior that we get from our parents. And so when we clear the energy that we're carrying from our parents, then it actually helps us to let go of the need to do that to other people and also to ourselves. Generally, when people are judging other people, then they judge themselves as well. So Catherine's Britain's saying, what about saging? Yep. Look, using sage is good, but it's not enough. Sage is good for clearing a space and clearing a workspace, but also clearing your space to give you a bit of clarity. And it's why a lot of practitioners use it, because if you were just using that on its own, it's not enough to clear your space of other people's negative thoughts or your own negative baggage. But what it does do, it helps to give you a bit of clarity so that that practitioner can take you through that process where you can deal with that. So Daniel's saying, can smudging and drumming help with protection along with grounding to help clear and protect your aura? Probably, again, I would have to say, yes, smudging is good, but and drumming is great too. It will help shift some energy that's coming up to the surface, and some energy can be relieved out of your energy system that way. But what you will find is right down at the bottom of the barrel of your own negative energy that you're carrying, that can be at a subconscious level, that's the stuff to deal with, really, because what's happening is you're just attracting other people's negative energy into your space because you have that within you already. So a lot of people out there carry a lot of other people's negative energy, and maybe only 10% of the negative energy that they're carrying at any given time is theirs, and they can be carrying 80 to 90% of other people's negative energy, which is just really accumulative at any given time. And so it drifts out, but then as soon as it drifts out, other people's will drift in again because you haven't dealt with your own personal issues. So what's happening is your own personal issues are attracting other people's negative energy and other people's negative thoughts like a magnet. So the trick is to do your own clearing first, and then you actually won't keep attracting other people's negative thoughts. Unfortunately, a lot of people are looking for a Band-Aid, and Band-Aids aren't enough. But yes, the drumming and smudging with sage will help to clear your space enough to give you a bit of clarity, to be able to see things more careful. So Emma's saying, are there techniques that can be used before sleeping to protect against psychic attack during sleep? Yes, there are, Emma. And so thanks for that question. I'm not too sure if I'm going to say this one for tonight, because this mostly deals with ETs, because we're very open to certain ETs in our sleep, but we can also be open to people's energy. So look, I will give you this. There is a way. There's several ways of clearing your energy and protecting your energy, but I'll give you this one before I finish up tonight. So we'll have a look at it now. So one thing to remember is the major part of us is human. You know, I've talked to you and to everyone in the past in previous talks about we have quite a level of ET energy within us, DNA that's waking up as we speak, and will be continuously as time rolls on, because our environmental energy is raising in frequency, and it's stimulating that DNA to be waking up inside us. So what's happening with that is we have more than just earth energy that we can connect with. We can connect with energy from the universe. So this is where this exercise comes in quite handy. So what I would normally suggest to someone that is feeling like they're getting attacked through the night, through their sleep, is to, number one, do their grounding, same as I showed you at the beginning. Number two, to not only do the grounding, but open up your core star energy. Now, the next thing is, this technique I found seems to work really well. So if you can imagine, as you breathe, the breath is actually very important to tap into different energy. I've seen medicine men at work. I've seen how they work, and I've learnt to work a similar way. So using your breath to access life force is the secret to this one. So after you've done your grounding and you've opened up your core star energy, I would normally get people to breathe down into the earth, and as they breathe up earth energy, imagine breathing up half a bubble of earth energy. So, pardon me. So bringing in half a globe, if you want to call it that, or half a ball of energy, of earth energy underneath you, up to about the level of the earth. And then breathing out into the universe. And then as you breathe in, breathing down a half a bubble of universal energy. Now, you don't do that just once. Do it about 3 times. So the first bubble, full bubble, so half a bubble of earth energy underneath you, and then half a bubble of universal energy above you. When the two join together, then you've got a bit of protection from ETs, and also protection with your earth energy, which is very powerful, particularly against ETs. Negative ETs, I should say. But then what I generally advise people to do is to do that one bubble around yourself, and then do another bubble around your room, and then another bubble around your house. I mean, you can go on and on if you really want to. Why more than one bubble is, I'll just give you an example of something that I did when I was a kid. So in high school, I was in cadets, and boys will be boys, and we get up to a bit of mischief. And what we used to do is midnight manoeuvres, because when we had cadet camps, there were different schools dotted all over these army grounds, and so we'd do midnight manoeuvres and throw tins of spaghetti and baked beans into other camps' fires, where people are on guard through the night. And of course, what would happen, they'd heat up and blow up, and hot spaghetti and beans would go everywhere. Probably, I don't advise people to do that, but when the tins blew up. But what we did, so that people didn't do the same thing to us, we used to put a string all the way around our border of our camp, and we'd hang tins so a couple of tins together every few meters. And what would happen, if someone walked through that string, the tins would rattle and we would know someone was there. So what these bubbles do is just that. It helps you to know, and it will wake you up when someone kicks that string of your energy and rattles those tins. And so what that does then, it helps you to be aware that something's going on, and then you would come in and maybe bring that light up again, and expand it out and push anything that's in that space out of your space. I hope that made sense. If anyone wants to talk to me about that after hours, during working time, happy to do that. Just send me a message or just ring me direct, and I'll run you through it again. So let's see if there's any more questions, but I think that's it. I can't believe that we're already at 8 o'clock. I feel like I've only just started talking. So I think I'm going to talk a little bit more, because there's part of this subject that I really wanted to reinforce. And one is about kids. I don't know about you, but when you were young, if you're listening to this program, you have to be sensitive. I wouldn't get too many very hard-nosed people actually listening to what I'm talking about. So generally sensitive people are a little bit like they've got targets on their backs, and we generally are the targets of manipulators. But when we're kids, kids suffer abuse in many ways. When you think about abuse, the first thing people generally think about is, of course, the extreme abuse, whether it be physical abuse, sexual abuse. There's mental abuse, emotional abuse. Physical abuse comes in many forms as well. But the big thing is, kids are very sensitive, and any sort of abuse can damage a child's energy very easily. And when parents come home from work, or when parents are having a bad day, they need to, it's important that they think about how they act towards their kids, because a lot of the work I do is actually helping people that have been in some way abused by their parents. Now, again, abuse comes in many forms. It can be as little as just a parent pulling back emotionally from their child because they're just having a bad day. Really, if that sort of thing is going on and is ongoing for a parent, they need to actually do something about shifting that in themselves. Because what's going to happen is your child, your son or your daughter, is going to continue that same process. And I don't know about you, but I probably made a few mistakes when I was younger, as a young parent. And I wish I could take myself back in time to change some of the things I said and did. But we have the opportunity now, through education, through talks like this, to understand just how damaging negative thoughts can be. So kids are very, very easily abused by negative emotions, by negative energy, and by negative thoughts. When you understand that every action has an energy behind it, so every verbal a sentence, every thought has an energy behind it, and every action has an energy behind it. Now, if that energy behind any one of those actions, whether it's thought, verbal, or physical, if that's a negative sort of emotion that's driving that, well, you're directing that to your child if that's where it's going. So you need to understand the damaging effect that that's going to have. So it's important that we can't shove this under the carpet anymore. If we want humanity to grow, if we want the world to change, we need to be the ones starting that change. It needs to come from within first. So we need to be dealing with wherever that anger, wherever that frustration, wherever that fear is coming from, we need to be responsible for our actions. Then we are going to be bringing up far better balanced kids. Now, just imagine if kids are growing up in a better balanced way, and they're not having to take on the abusive energy of people around them. They're going to be growing up a lot freer and a lot stronger. So it's important that we do make sure that we deal with our personal stuff. Otherwise, it ends up just getting thrown around to everyone. So Doogie is asking, if I can't sleep, am I subconsciously being hyper alert and on guard for psychic attack? Sometimes that hyper alert can be from past situations where maybe as a childhood, in your childhood rather, maybe you were tense from something happening back then. Sometimes those feelings of insecurity and deficiency or weakness can be coming from subconscious memories of how things were, maybe at an earlier age. But also what's happening for us now with the amount of beings that are on the planet that are watching us now, and not all of them are positive. So we have to be far more conscious of being stronger energetically. And I think once you begin to trust your protective abilities, then maybe you can get a clearer night's sleep. But also there can be other things that are going on too, like DNA waking up, which has an effect on the glands within the body, which affects our sleeping habits too. So that's another one that could be looked at. Catherine Britton saying it's 10:30 here in New Zealand. Oh, sorry about that, Catherine, but I'm going to be finishing in a minute anyway. So yeah, it's a bugger that you're so far in a different time zone, but that's never going to change either, unless you're over here. Mary, I would love to turn back time too. Thank you for your honesty. Adair is saying, be the change you want to see in the world. Exactly. And Trisha's saying, find the source within. So when you find the source of your pain, you won't be inflicting it on other people. And it all starts from within, always. So Donna's saying not being able to sleep can also attribute to Schumann resonance, which is has to do with this raising of frequency that's a constant now. But that's also affecting our DNA, which is affecting our glands. And so there's a lot of planets in retrograde too. And sometimes when the moon cycle is at its peak, each moon cycle has a different energy as well. When you have a look at the 13 moon cycles through a year, it's like a stepping stone of growth. Each moon cycle is another step forward in a growth cycle. So it can be very powerful, and I've got information on that if anyone needs it too. So, all right, guys, look, it's 8:10. That went so quickly. Tried to fit in as much as I could. I think I actually got in what I wanted to. There's a little bit more I'll add next week. So this was more about more localized human behavior, and what a lot of people don't realize is psychic attack is stuff that a lot of people already do. And so this is like a beginning of cleaning up our act. And once we can do that to ourselves, then we can help other people to do it. So they're saying, ooh, another topic to explore more, DNA and raising the planetary vibrations. Yes, yes, yes. So any other subjects that people want me to talk about rather, I'm happy to send them in, and we'll put it in the list. So look, thanks guys. One other thing is next Monday, this Monday coming, we have meditation, and you can connect with that meditation group through my Facebook site, and then you just need to drop in on the link, and it'll take you to the group. So hopefully you got something out of tonight, and I look forward to sharing more with you next week. And so it's up to us now. Now that we're armed with this information, you can't unknow that information now. So you've got that in your head. So now it's time to start changing the way we look at things, the way we think, the way we act. And as Adair said, be the change that you want to see happen on the planet. So much love to everyone, and have a great weekend and a great week, and I'll talk to you next Thursday. See you guys.